I'm quite invested in this. Might play Zelda a little later, but right now I really want to play this game. I actually also kind of want to play a little bit more Genshin, but all I can really do is grind, and that's time gated. I kind of forgot just how good the early game in Etrian Odyssey 3 is. That's part of the reason why this is my favorite. Because it actually has a good early game. One, and as far as I can tell right now, two as well. Etrian Odysseys 1 and 2 have really terrible early games. They're literally a slog because all of the fun things you could potentially do are gated out to the skill tree's absurd requirements to get some of the better abilities you could potentially be having. Like literally most of the time your only strategy that's viable and you can do straight up. Alright, I should do the quest. It's just spamming normal attacks. It's absurd. Alright, that was a little risky. Oh, nice, I got the slimy leg, that's good. I'm not sure how well this team will actually practice, but subscribe for my Shepherd's Guide, and I'll definitely be testing it out. All of the skills were way too expensive as well. For healing, is it like that in the base game as well? That's really nice. The map design was another thing. At least for the first two dungeons in Etrian Odyssey, there are tells for when there's a shortcut. And the shortcuts are plentiful and are placed in very nominal spaces. Is that a proper way to use that word? Or I guess phenomenal. Although that'd be a bit of an exaggeration, I suppose. But for how often the main cycle of Etrian Odyssey is always to explore as much as you can until you run out of TP, and then you use an Ariane thread to, and then do it all over again. Of course, after purchasing another Ariane thread. But like, there's no shortcuts for you to use. Or at least, there are some, but there's not enough. And the few shortcuts that do exist fucking suck, both to find and to use when you finally do find them. And that's if. I think Novalet's weapon is actually really good, and just it definitely won't be Lost Prayer, or definitely won't be Hardware, but it might be Lost Prayer because staff is good. You're not really going to utilize it a whole lot. You find them, because they fucking suck to find. Unless you decide to literally dungeon crawl and do what the video game Etrian Odyssey's version of tapping everything with a 10-foot pole. It really is just that bad. I would use Scar Atlas. I'm not as good in looking to I've been working myself, not using it, so just know that my clears can be grasped. Oops. Yeah, the hunter is a very hard class to play for not much payoff, especially in the original game. Subclassing as them is pretty good, though. But like having them as your starter, one of your starter characters, not recommended. So yeah, for both Etrian Odyssey 1 and 2, I basically played through the entire first dungeon just in easy mode and grinded because you get double experience while in easy. What the heck are these? Is my mouse visible? What the heck is this freaking thing? Is that supposed to be their tongue? They have like two yellowish tongues or something? The OST for Etrian Odyssey 3 is leagues ahead of 1 and 2. There's some very nice standout tracks, like the second to last as well as the last dungeons dungeon themes are nice, as well as the secondary battle music that appears halfway through the game. Just since I guess that's just a thing every Etrian Odyssey game does. When you reach the third or so stratum, battle music just changes. Oh, and another terrible thing that isn't helped by the fact that there are very little shortcuts, is the fact that every stratum has 5 instead of 4 floors. Just 4 floors. You might think that means Etrian Odyssey is longer, but Etrian Odyssey 3 is a shorter game compared to the previous two games, but honestly, Etrian Odyssey 3 is still just as long, just a lot less frustrating. Hell yeah. Ow. Well, she shocked me with how good she was. She is definitely going to be one of the characters that I push further, because I feel like the way that I play her right now is very suboptimal. The talents that I'm using are very suboptimal. And I was a great weapon, and I was still herb stomping this in 47 seconds appearance, and she felt good to play. So I'm excited to build her more. And I don't even have her C4, which is her best constellation. We can talk about constellations next. You said regenerates 2 energy for every 1 hit while holding a violent heart. This is big. She gets a lot of energy from her full skill, and she's good. She needs a lot of it. So that's actually but pretty nice. Nice. She needs a competent driver for Kindle. Like, I don't think that they made her that much crazy. It's just like her quality of life kind of stuff. Obviously, getting the top level is nice, but I haven't even taken advantage of it. Level 11, barely more than what it usually means. It's C4. That's the really big one. You get a C4 in your AoE, and it's your top 4 enemies. It's kind of it's a pseudo quadratic stealing. It's not. It hasn't like it doesn't like go to everybody. You have 3 enemies that are hit by this, then they're getting hit by quadratic stealing, and it just. Let's go down first. This path right here is the correct path to go, but I need to go back. I'm being spread thin right now. If you've had any interest, look out, then you should consider it. We'll talk about value next. So for power level, I would put her in 1 tier lower than you. So I think if the ID code is like your character, like in my ears are S, A, E. Yeah, Atlas really got their act together when they started working on 3. I think it was a great choice for them to overhaul pretty much everything from the classes to just everything for the most part. I mean, the main theme is still there. You still draw your own map, you still get to make your own characters. The art style is still very simplistic and cute.
I'll have to do more testing and whether I would put her like above or below Jing, but I would definitely put her right around in the same place. For overall value, she has way higher value than Jing because
okay, it's just two these bitches.
You sub out I'll hide them for Tainari, and then you can have I'll hide them. Right, Tainari is the same character on that team. It's just more single target block. But Tainari is a fantastic choice for that weapon for that threat.
Let me see if I can get some more frog cheeks, honestly.
She does with all my so that's I guess what I was looking for when that was the point. But Lisa
So I can complete both quests at once.
And an on-fielder gives I would put her high value than Kaching for overall power level. I think they're just about the same further testing required. But I think my build is that you're sort of saying now I don't need to get Genito, I don't need to get Kino, that you can focus on getting other characters, focus on those supports, and Lisa can be one and two on-fielders for your team, and then even if you decide to get all items, on-fielder, so big win.
I think they might be more likely to show up on places with water.
Vertical investment, if you want to make your Lisa the best possible.
Oh boy, that's the opposite of what I wanted to see.
Get her C4, and eventually get her 6. You can't get her from the regular limited banners, which is quite sad, but you can always save up for that guarantee eventually. Eventually, and then get Miko's weapon. Miko's weapon is so
yeah.
So that's definitely where you want to go. If you're using her, I would probably end up like your end game goal. You're trying to like max out your Lisa, get the strongest, get progress for Lisa.
There you go.
Get her on an item sprint team, get Siege Nagita. Don't worry about pawns for all items. Get that Siege Nagita, get that progress on Lisa, and this team is like you are never struggle with your best and like vertically invest into your Lisa that way, and you'll barely have like because the defense strat also helps Nagita, also helps Alhaitham. If you choose to vertically invest your other characters, Lisa still gives gains because her burst has that defense strat. So through her passive. So I do want to talk a little bit about energy needs. If you're using her off field, I liked using her with 200 energy, and then I did use a hold skill, so I got more energy with that. So this was enough. If you're using her with Fischl, you can use substantially less. I have her with Fischl as an on-fielder, and I was able to get away with just 125. And I feel like I could have used a little more, but the thing is, on a curvate, you don't need 100%.
Let's just get out.
On your burst. Like, it doesn't have to burst off.
I forgot I can just use Ariadne threads. But the shortcut was still a good thing to unlock, I suppose.
So her energy needs vary greatly, depending on what team you're running. But yeah, aim for 125, 130 if she's in fiber for Fischl, and then 200 if she's on the spread team. But make sure you test it yourself, because you are to control your own energy. You gotta test it yourself. You have to use your ER Sands, you have to use an ER weapon. You gotta test yourself and figure out what you need. For gameplay tips, I am going to defer you to the Kaching mains guide. Once again, I'll link it down in the description. But she has a lot of tech, a lot of cancels, a lot of stuff, a video to watch. Fortunately, her teams are broken enough that you can kind of just spam things, right? You can just spam her skill to get 3 stacks and then use her hold skill and take advantage of those 3 stacks. It's really not too hard. You can just spam, a mixture of normal attacks and charge attacks. Trying to do, if you're fighting Simon on the second side, her normal attacks auto-target to the little hurt things. They don't hit Simon. You have to do a charge attack or her skill to actually hit the boss, which is hallucinates, I noticed. But in general, you could just spam these things and it works and everything dies. That's how I like to play. But she has a lot of cool tech that if you're into tech, if you're into getting the most out of her, I think that's what's the most impressive thing to me is that I basically butchered her build and her playstyle. Best weapon, I didn't use her best artifacts, said, my talent aren't leveled up, I don't have C4, I didn't always use the best team objects order, I didn't play her the best, and we still clapped the Abyss. It wasn't even close. The ceiling is probably way higher than I have reached, and that's what makes me most excited about this character and why I can sell her to you so confidently. That being said, she's not like a must build, right? She's not like a Bennett, but she's not like a character that supports her other characters. There's other characters that are great options instead of her, right? If you have Yahiko, if you have to sign up, if you have to build Kaching, not only can you upgrade for those characters, but it's not going to be worth building her as an
A strong hit from Mara.
But on the flip side, those characters aren't having massive upgrades for her. She is a premier example of build her if you like her. Also, Beta. Beta's another 4-star option that I just covered, and she's
there you go.
Well, so there's tons of competition for Lisa's spot. Probably a lot of you have already built an aggravate driver, so you probably don't need an aggravate driver. If you haven't, or if you love Lisa and you're just like, I'm just not sure if I'll like her and enjoy her, I can assure you that you will not be disappointed with her performance. Future prospects. Yeah, is a potential option for her as we get more and more off-field pyro characters for Chebra's teams could become more and more interesting. I feel like Electro is in a pretty solid place right now, having full access to spread, activate, and Chebra's teams. It's hard to see us getting crazy new options in Madeline or in Snezhnaya in the future. I think Electro pretty much got what it needed from Dendro.
What exactly happens in insane difficulty?
I think the fact that Lisa works...
Like, I know your numbers are most definitely gonna be lower and all the enemies are gonna be higher, but like, how low and how high? The documentation doesn't specify those things.
Enjoy your Lisa if you decide to build her. Let me know if you have any questions or thoughts. Take care. Bye for now.
On the status cleansing skills, as well as the healers themselves, the healers just kind of freaking suck for how necessary they were. In 3, they're a lot less necessary, but a whole lot more comfortable. Wait, what? Alright, I had things backwards apparently. My memory is not infallible. I will defer from using guides. I want to experience the game just normally. Well, as normal as you can when you're modding. Won't get access to this until much later into the game. Uh-oh. Haha, and with this spot we can finally start grinding. Grinding with farmers was also a little shitty in the older titles. In 2, it's really terrible. Honestly, the grinding experience... In fact, that's one of the things I said I didn't like about this mod for Etrian Odyssey 3. It makes grinding a lot less important. A lot less necessary. Which I know some people might call me a crazy person for that. But like, grinding just feels so great and rewarding in Action Odyssey 3. In 1 and 2, it didn't feel as much, but it sure as hell was mandatory. Yeah, 1 and 2 just kind of freaking suck. Honestly, I recommend just buying 3. If you're in it for the long haul, then sure, by all means, try purchasing all 3 like I did, since I am in it for the long haul. But if you're unsure if you like Etrian Odyssey, just play the 3rd game first, and then if you like it, maybe play 1 or 2. 1 and or 2. Maybe play the remakes of them, the Fafnir Knight for 2, and then the Millennium Girl. They don't have remakes. They don't have HD remakes, but they should be easy enough to emulate on your mobile device or whatever. On the DS. I haven't played those games, but presumably they would be a much better experience at the very least, because those remakes put in a bit more story and plot, and they have actual main characters, which is personally a downgrade for me personally compared to just being able to completely make your own characters. Let's continue just investing XP to the main team, why not? Yeah, it's kind of sad, but both games could be explained in one word. The first 2 games, and that is a slog. A tedious, unfun chore. A slog. The soul sacrifice. Huh. Hell yeah, I kinda want Izuna. It's an early game beheading. These things still don't cost stamina. Yep, it sure doesn't.
below 10 Tears of the Kingdom videos, less than 1 video. Yet, for the ones that were around, these same people were uploading more Breath of the Wild related videos at a higher rate for years after Breath of the Wild had already come out. Disinterest and disappointment, especially when it comes to the lore. There was a video by Hyper Gamer called Are Zelda Games Losing Their Charm? And in the intro to that video, he talks about specifically the negativity and decline of interest that he's noticed. So the question is, why? Well, in a video by one of those big Zelda respected games, he explains just that. In his video, he gives a lengthy explanation about why he's dissatisfied with Tears of the Kingdom, and why he's going to...
Huh? What?
not make any more Tears of the Kingdom lore videos.
But what I mean is I haven't been theoretically sitting on my ass and not coming up with the ideas. I have video ideas. And this isn't a video that's crying to give me video ideas. There are so many, it's an entire world, okay? There are so many things to talk about in Tears of the Kingdom. What's this person's story? What's that person's story? You know, whatever. We can explain lore all day long, but here's the thing. Not that interesting anymore.
It's not that interesting. That's also the same reason why I didn't make a bunch of content post-release Tears of the Kingdom. And I doubt we're unique. I suspect that that's the same reason that the post-launch lore videos from these channels is so sparse. It's because there's nothing to talk about, and what little there is to talk about is not very good. It's not that interesting. Before the game came out, many, if not most, of the lore videos that came out about Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom were lore videos that were trying to connect them to past Zelda games. Breath of the Wild, despite ostensibly separating itself from the other games in the timeline, still had a lot of references to those past games. the Temple of Time, the goddess statues, the fact that Zelda seems to describe previous versions of the hero. There's a lot in Breath of the Wild. There is a fertile ground that these lore theorists were happy to play in. And I do not believe that that fertility exists anymore. Tears of the Kingdom stamps it out. The new mythology doesn't care about the old mythology and supersedes it. So there's not a point in making videos that connect the two anymore, because it became increasingly clear that Nintendo doesn't want to connect the two. And they didn't have the old games or their established lore in mind when they were making this new one. Take the Master Sword, for example. Why does it get broken at the beginning of Tears of the Kingdom? How is Ganondorf so easily able to completely destroy it? Ganondorf is so strong in this game because he stole Sonia's secret stone in the past. And that secret stone, by itself, gave him this incredible power. So much power that he can defeat Rauru and all the Guardians in Zelda, who also have their own secret stones. Defeats all of them. Even combined, they can't do anything against him. And this stone by itself makes him so strong that it just destroys the Master Sword immediately. What's bothersome about that lore detail is that the Master Sword isn't just some normal special sword. If we look at the previous mythology in Link to the Past, we find out that the Master Sword was designed specifically to fight against Ganondorf when he got the Triforce. So Ganondorf got the Triforce, and the Triforce gave him the power. And the Master Sword was designed to counter that version of Ganondorf, the one that has a Triforce. What this means is that one secret stone, one measly secret stone, made Ganondorf stronger than the entire Triforce did at one point. That's
Dang it.
ridiculous. The Triforce is the golden power, it's the ultimate power. It's the basis upon which the world is supposedly built.
Oh no.
To have a single secret stone empower Ganondorf in a way that the full Triforce could not, can only mean that they weren't thinking about that kind of lore when they were making this story. The reason that the Master Sword got shattered so easily is because Nintendo didn't think of it, and they didn't care. Now, I suspect you could think up of a reason why this might happen that wouldn't necessarily break the established canon. For example, an individual so inclined could speculate that the reason that the Master Sword broke was because in Tears of the Kingdom, it didn't take into account what Link did in Breath of the Wild. So the Master Sword that you have in Tears of the Kingdom is a version that didn't do the DLC. So it's not a fully completed Master Sword, it's just one that's like at the half damage that you could get without the DLC. And an explanation like that makes little sense, it's kind of clever. But I don't believe that Nintendo would think of that. That that's just secretly the reason in their heads and they're not saying anything about that. The lore fans are always trying to twist themselves into knots to make the lore fit in ways that I don't think Nintendo intended it to fit. No, I don't believe that that's the reason, or any reason like the real reason is because they didn't think of it, and I don't think they cared. Now, personally, I don't mind if these Zelda games separate themselves from previously established lore. You know, the old lore has a lot of accumulated history, and if they were going to be bound by what they had written previously, it would be difficult for them to come up with new stories. But one of the problems is that they're not really moving forward. They're still insisting on using references and allusions to their previous lore, and according to them, all those old games did still have them. So, for example, why is Ganondorf here at all? Why do they have this scene here where he's kneeling to the king and alluding to Ocarina of Time, like this is a retelling or something? When in this lore we know that Rauru is the founder of the Kingdom of Hyrule. So what's going on? What's happening here? Well, in an interview with Fujibao Hashi, the director for Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, he posits a suggestion. It's not him telling us what happened, but he's like, oh, it could be this, you know? Maybe this is the thing. But it does seem like he's pointing to that particular information. And what he said is that it could be that the Kingdom of Hyrule was destroyed a long time ago and didn't exist for an undisclosed amount of time. And at some point in history, Rauru came into the world as Zonai came into the world, and he established the Kingdom of Hyrule. And into this kingdom, Ganondorf was born, like, for no reason. It's just Ganondorf again. It's literally Ganondorf. His name is Ganondorf. But it's been so long that nobody remembers anything from the previous games. Nobody knows who Ganondorf or Ezel was. At this point, what's the difference between this? Oh, it's just been a long time, the kingdom got destroyed, and then everybody was born back into it again. What's the difference between that and just starting over in a new continuity that isn't at all connected to previous events? I would prefer that than this. I suspect the real reason is simpler. They want to nostalgia bait us. They want us to go over to the Temple of Time and, oh, wow, it's the Temple of Time. They want us to find the ruins of Lon Lon Ranch and get emotional over them. They want those benefits of having an established timeline, established lore, but they also don't want to be beholden to them. And look, I understand that. I understand that inclination. It makes sense that they would want to distance themselves from the lore of their past. Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom deserve their own ruin, to create their own mythology. But the thing is, this obsession of not being bound by the things they've done before extends even into these two games. It's not just about the past times. They don't want Tears of the Kingdom to connect even to itself. It hesitates even to connect it to Breath of the Wild. So, post Tears of the Kingdom's release, I made a joke video. I made a video pointing out that people are assuming that Link and Zelda are living together, but the people of Hateno Village, where Link supposedly lives, don't know him. They don't recognize him at all. People say nice to meet you, they introduce themselves to him. Nobody has ever seen him before. And that includes some surprising people, including the mayor of the village, the mayor's wife, who still plays cleaning Zelda's house for her while she's gone, and the school children from the school that Zelda teaches in that go to her house every day after school. None of them know who you are. And the video is mostly a different video. I don't really care whether or not Link and Zelda live in the same house. But it does point to a problem in the way that Tears of the Kingdom handles its continuity, its relationship to its previous game. It's not just about Link living in the house or not. It's about the quests that you could have done in Hateno Village.
Can someone tell me if I'm just an idiot?
Villages there. That's where Burn.
I had to look up a walkthrough for this. This was so convoluted.
But Tears of the Kingdom,
The armor of Cedar
went there. Never did it.
needed you to be in this. I thought you didn't.
To any of these people, including some that you
Let's catch some fish.
talk to, like Bolson, the guy when Breath of the Wild sold you your house. You went to Hudson's wedding together in that game, and it's weird that he doesn't know you, because in Tears of the Kingdom, you apparently still know Hudson. Apparently, you still did the Tarrytown quest to build the village. You did still participate in that wedding. And you've known Hudson after that for years. It's like they selectively chose which parts of the quest were canon and which ones were removed. And then there's the Sheikah technology. The Sheikah technology all disappeared, and in Tears of the Kingdom, that was never addressed. There was never any mention or hint as to why. And in a different interview with Fujibayashi, he explains why. According to him, they disappeared after the Calamity was defeated. All of the people of Hyrule also witnessed this, but there was no one who knows the mechanism or reason why they disappeared, and it is considered a mystery. It is believed that since the Calamity disappeared, they also disappeared as their role had been fulfilled. Here is the problem with that explanation. In Tears of the
Everything.
Kingdom's lore, we find out that Rauru sealed away Ganon. But apparently the seal wasn't perfect, some of his miasma was leaking out, and that is what Calamity Ganon seems to be. That's what we ended up calling Malice in Breath of the Wild. So this leaking out malice builds up over the course of 10,000 years and comes out as Calamity Ganon. The Sheikah noticed this pattern and created all this Sheikah technology to defeat Calamity Ganon. And the first time that they tried it, it worked.
I really do like this
What they
sub-game
defeated was just Calamity Ganon. Ganondorf was
of
still
failing,
away, still
and
leaking
Action Odyssey 3 as well.
So it can't be that the Sheikah technology disappeared because their role was fulfilled, as Fujibayashi suggests, because the role hasn't been fulfilled. This is no different than the situation 10,000 years ago. They just defeated one more iteration of Calamity Ganon. There's no reason for it to disappear so completely. It would be one thing if it just went underground or something. But no, if you go to the Shrine of Resurrection, it's been stripped from the very walls. It's like it evaporated. If you were so inclined, you might be able to make an excuse for this that makes sense. You could, for example, assume that the Sheikah technology has a will of its own. It has some kind of consciousness, and it noticed that it was taken over by Calamity Ganon the last time it was used. And so to prevent that from happening again, it decided to self-destruct all of the links evaporated by its own volition. Or you could assume that, again, it has some level of consciousness, and it noticed that the seal on Ganondorf was about to break, and its only purpose was to defeat Calamity Ganon, not actually fight Ganondorf. And that might be the reason why it disappeared. But again, I don't believe that that's secretly the reason, and Nintendo was just choosing to withhold that information for the sake of adding mystery to the game. If that was the case, they could have had an NPC, any NPC, drop a few lines of dialogue suggesting what Fujibayashi has said. But no, we didn't get it as part of in-game lore. We got it from an interview, which suggests to me that the real reason is that they didn't think of it and they don't care. I no longer trust that Nintendo is thinking about the lore that deeply. I think it's far more likely that Nintendo had the Sheikah civilization disappear simply because it was blue. Because it was an ancient civilization type thing with a blue aesthetic. And Nintendo needed to make room for the shiny new civilization with a green aesthetic. I think the real reason why nobody in Nintendo Village remembers Link, even though he supposedly lives there, is because as much as possible they don't want newcomers into Tears of the Kingdom from Breath of the Wild to feel out of place. They don't want a situation where every NPC recognizes Link, and these new players to feel like they're missing out on a bunch of context. So they just made a situation in which, in this game, Link didn't go to certain places, he didn't talk to certain people, he didn't do certain quests. And even the things that he did do, like the Hudson wedding, happened in a different way, because apparently he never talked to Bolson during that interaction. The answer to why all of these inconsistencies are happening seems to me to be because the story needed to happen, and no other reason past that. They didn't think of it, and they don't care. And if they don't, I don't see the reason why they should. It's clear that they don't want to connect these new Zelda games to their older titles in any way other than a superficial reference. And they don't even care about the lore that they are generating for these new Zeldas. They'll get rid of it the moment it becomes a game. And even the lore that they generated for these games that they keep is not very good. So for example, you have the 8 Heroines mystery. In Breath of the Wild, that was one of the more interesting mysteries. There was a lot of speculation about it. Initially, people were trying to tie them to ancient sages, and then as more information on Tears of the Kingdom came out, they tried to tie them to the people that wielded the secret stones in the past, assuming that they paralleled the sages from Ocarina of Time. This is the kind of lore that was very interesting. Monster Beats, a YouTuber, had a lengthy video on the subject, presenting all the existing evidence and going through a pretty cool theory. Well, in Tears of the Kingdom, we did finally get an answer to that mystery. And the answer was lame. The 8 Heroine was just some guy. It had nothing to do with anything. And I think that this perfectly encapsulates the problem. They were unwilling to have the heroines parallel the sages, even though every piece of evidence that they had put so far seemed to point to that. But they were also unwilling to tie it to their new mythology. They were unwilling to tie it to the champions or the secret stones. They are determined to have their lore and mythology go nowhere and mean nothing. You can't extrapolate anything from it because there isn't anything there. It is not a surprise that there are so few lore videos about Tears of the Kingdom. Because if Nintendo isn't going to take their lore seriously, then many people are going to see that and become discouraged. It makes people think that they've been writing conspiratorial fan fiction that's been trying to make sense of something that fundamentally doesn't make any sense. And that's the end of this video. Please unsubscribe and unclick the bell notification. And as always, thank you very much for watching.
The Legend of Zelda encompasses all of the elements I love about games. A sense of liberating freedom as you explore an immaculately rich and purposeful fantasy world. storytelling methods intrinsic to video games. And while I have looked at almost every game in the main series in depth, I wanted to single out a specific element that in and of itself encompasses Zelda and its various elements. Music. From the beginning of the series to the present day, the music of Zelda has had an exceptional grasp on the power of leitmotif. And these melodies are directly intertwined with gameplay in multiple contexts across the series. And this is just how Koji Kondo tends to compose music. He writes to directly serve gameplay, rather than just complement it or exist as background accompaniment. In the early 1980s, music and jingles in games, particularly arcade games, were meant to catch attention more than they were genuine realizations of a game's world. Take Galaga, for example, which plays a 9-second jingle every time you start the game. Aside from a reprise at the end of each bonus stage, the game is composed of nothing but sound effects. But that starting jingle is still satisfying enough to grab your attention from across the arcade. When writing for Super Mario Bros., Kondo had two goals, and these would soon change how music was written. He wanted to convey an unambiguous sonic image of the game, and to enhance the emotional musical experience as he introduced.
Kaya lang makikita mo yung humol-mol dito, no?
What?
Tapos dalhin natin yung printer.
Is associated with so many things across the
When?
game
Now,
are implemented as a
I don't
game.
wanna.
paano yun?
I wanna relax at home right now.
Sukatin ko na lang to.
Plus, we were supposed to play. I've been looking forward to this. When are we supposed to play, by the way?
Kasama ko si Kadoy, Jane.
I don't give a shit.
Kahit mag-gym yun, kahit ayaw mo sumama, eh. Dali ko na lang yan.
When are we playing, Mom?
Okay na. Dali ko lang.
I mean, I guess I wouldn't be against it if we get to play first. Mommy, I wouldn't be against it as long as we get to play first.
Magdala na tayo.
What about lunch, actually?
Dito pa.
I
Mga
see.
ano na tayo aalis eh.
I see.
Pagkalaro natin, kain na, tapos ano. Buksan mo kasi ilaw. Sige, order ko kayo. Ni Elo at ni Ila.
Time to save scum. Since I don't have anything to do anyway and I got nothing to do.
Sige, tama ka na. Sige, kain. Laro na tayo.
It's nice that I have no assignments and they get to actually enjoy my break, but I've got nothing to do. I could do something productive.
Order na ganito. Bakon. Kuha naman nila. Coursework. Oh, para makasama. Buti lang naman yan, wala pang mahal.
I guess this song is a little repetitive. I like this song, but it is a bit of a problem that this is the only song you'll be listening to for pretty much the entire game. Oh, where the heck? I guess.
Bakit? Ikilos ka pa nga lang, sa libo mo pala, kabuti na tayo.
Yeah, most likely it's gonna be 2 that we get to leave thanks to you.
Thanks to the game.
Yeah.
O, diba?
You are the abject representation of Filipino time.
Uy, hindi ako yun na. Sabi mo yun.
Is there even a point to these marks? Honestly, I really don't see the point in doing all of these. Just mark green for places, for lands. It's like it doesn't really matter, you know? The parts that matter the most are the waves and the things in the water rather than the things in the place you can't even explore. And are more or less obstacles. There she is. Raisins! The raisins are just nice, but with this we should be able to. Let's just brute force. The power save's coming. I won't even waste a single dime on it. Tails risk time magic at play. Are they leading me to the right path or are they leading me astray? This is my destination. I found the right path. And similarly, the walls aren't worth drawing either. Unlike in the labyrinth where the walls are a bit more useful to draw. Hell yeah. I'm not strong enough to take on that guy yet. But we got a good haul out of it. Apparently, me and Mom are supposed to play now, so